So, hello everyone. So we are from group who will present about gender theory by Geoffrey Beattie. And we are consist of two. First, me, Niputri Ayuningsih with student registration number 1912-02-1051 and my friend Nikada Lisa Prativi Damayanti with student registration number 1912-02-1055. And today we will bring two subtopics. First, about the critique of Zimmerman and West theory will be presented by me, and then about the finding from Geoffrey Beattie will be presented by Lisa Prativi. So, yeah, this is about the critique of Zimmerman and West theory in 1975. So, Zimmerman, Geoffrey Beattie critiqued the finding of Zimmerman and West in 1975, who found men interrupt more frequently than women in the male-female conversation. And Zimmerman and West reported the most, according to Bettie's, Zimmerman and West reported the most striking effect of social variables on interruption in the conversation. So he critiqued in this point. And then he also said that the problem with this is that you might simply have one very valuable man in the study, which has a disproportionate effect on the total. And he also says, why do interruption necessarily reflect dominance? Can interruption not arise from other sources? Do some interruption not reflect interest and involvement? And to answer the question of Beattie in his critiques, I found some definition about interruption that also written proposed by Beattie in 1981 in his writing. So interruption are social phenomenon affected by many variables, including the personality characteristic of the subjects, as well as the characteristic personality of their fellow interaction. So it's about two different subjects in the interaction. And then interruption also refer to the indication of social relationship. So rather than about the dominance or authority, it's more about the social relationship. This is the highlight. And then in conclusion, the relationship between interruption and dominance or authority is more complex than had previously been assumed by Zimmerman and West in 1975. So to emphasize the critique of Beattie towards Zimmerman and West, this is the point about interruption according to Beattie. And then this is the next contraindications about Zimmerman and West theory from point of view of Beattie. So at one point, Beattie speculated that the differences of interruption found by Zimmerman and West might be limited to those types of conversation in which women did not deliberately try to interrupt to make an impression. This is in this case, maybe a woman in this kind of situation or conversation might be women should be quiet. So it needs more case in the conversation. It what's meant by a Beattie. So to answer this critique, Beattie stated that in the fact of social contact, especially in the context of the tutorial, women can do interruption as frequently as men. So this is very clear that Beattie really have opposite opinion about Zimmerman and West's theory. So that's all about the critic about the finding of Beattie will be explained by Lisa. So Lisa, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Ristia. So now I will explain about the findings of language and gender theory by Geoffrey Beattie. Next slide, Ristia. So from his finding, Geoffrey Beattie has recorded 10 hours of natural conversation, specifically the conversation during university tutorials between men and women students. And from that research, Geoffrey Beattie found there are 557 interruptions that made by men and women. It is contradict with the finding by Zimmerman and West. Zimmerman and West only got 55 interruptions. It is because the research made by Geoffrey has longer period of observation time than the research conducted by Zimmerman and West. Next slide, Ristia. And also, Geoffrey Beattie stated that interruption in a conversation represents a violation of turn-taking rule. And an interruption usually occurs when the first speaker or the person who speaks at that time didn't finish their speech yet, while the other already cut the speaking in the middle. In the finding of Geoffrey Beattie also found that men did interrupt more than women. In the statistic data, found that men interrupt up to 34.1%, while women interrupt only 33.8%. So, and also I found the other sources. According to the general communication expert, Deborah Tennant, commonly men speak to determine and achieve validation of their power and status. Usually in American society, the person or the man who speaks more is considered to have more power than the other. So it is no wonder why men did interrupt more than women in this research. And on the other hand, according to the research by Deborah Tennant, also said that when women talk, it is common to determine and achieve a connection or making relationship with the other. So usually women in using conversation, in enhanced connection or making relationship with other, women are much less likely to interrupt because women think interrupting a conversation as a disrespectful thing. So from my explanation, it can be concluded that according to Geoffrey Beattie, in using language, men usually interrupt more than women, but on the other side, Geoffrey Beattie also stated that there are no significant difference about the interruption that made by men and women because the result or the statistic data only limited or only show a small difference. Next slide, Ristia. Okay, I think that's all about our presentation. Thank you.